Welcome to Echo Chamber. This is How to Change the Stories and Narratives We Tell Ourselves, Part 2. As discussed in Part 1, the narratives we tell ourselves are complex. They can be good and passively running through our head, or they can be bad thoughts and passively running through our heads. They're passive because we don't know that we're doing it. So we're unconscious of the thinking, of the thoughts that we allow to ruminate in our heads. So, of course, this means that changing our passive thinking practices is difficult, and oftentimes we don't realize it until we get into a rut, until we fall into some kind of negativity, a cycle of negativity, or fall into depression, experience untoward levels of anxiety and other chronic conditions that impede our ability to be happy and to feel secure. So, before we can change our negative thoughts, which ultimately means changing how we feel and how we behave towards ourselves, towards others, towards the world around us, we first need to recognize that we're stuck in a negative loop. So that there's a permanent state of negativity, of thoughts, of narratives, of stories that we tell ourselves, about ourselves, to ourselves, over and over again. So these ideas and thoughts that we tell ourselves are reinforcing the perceptions that we need to stop, and which are ultimately sabotaging our actions, our interactions, and our well-being. Sometimes the negative thoughts and emotions that rises from us come from a place of truth, but we focus too much on the negative aspects, so we inflate the negative part within the nugget of truth. For instance, sometimes you feel that a task is too big, that you can't achieve a goal, or that you can't attract good luck or the right kind of people. And these negative thoughts may reflect aspects of truth. They may actually be observations that reflects our current positionality, our current state of affairs. But it may not always be a permanent state of how things will be in the future if we actually take charge of things. So, if we plan and assess what's happening to us, the goal, the task, the target, and we effectively create a plan on what's required, we effectively assess what needs to be done and put in the appropriate work, we can build our competencies and our abilities to be able to successfully reach the goals that we want. In doing so, we are breaking down goals that seem too complex or insurmountable, whether that's passing high school, college, university, getting a job, breaking a particular wage barrier, or interacting with people in particular ways. It's breaking down the tasks so that we can successfully take all the previous levels that we need to accomplish that actually helps us take control of our mindset, of our negative thinking, by providing it with evidence that we are in fact capable, we are in effect competent, and we do complete and successfully achieve the goals we set out for ourselves. So if you look back, what I'm saying here is that means that negative thoughts, feelings, and behaviors are reinforced by our inability to counter them with evidence. So if you think, I'm useless, I can't do anything, and you reflect back on the last few months, for instance, or the last few years, and you don't have any stories or experiences to tell yourselves where you can disprove these negative thoughts, then you're more likely to actively reproduce, actively promote, actively continue believing and telling yourself negative stories about yourself. If you actually put in the time, create a study timetable, do all your homework, do additional reading, ensure that you ask your tutors and lecturers any difficult questions that you can't by yourself figure out after using YouTube, after using Wikipedia, after using online, after using all your class notes, asking your mates, your friends, and if you're still stuck and you go to your teacher and they explain it to you, then it's most likely when you enter an assessment, you will pass, for instance. And all these little positive actions counter the negativity that is in your head. So that is one sure way of changing the stories and narratives in your head. So, because I want to keep this much shorter than the first video, I'm going to stop this here, and then in the second part of this series, I'm then going to explain another way that we can actually provide ourselves with positive narratives to counter the negative narratives in a quicker way, because it's not always possible for actions to change the way we think and feel overnight. It may take days and it may take weeks, and in that time it's very unpleasant to be stuck in a bubble of negativity. So follow me onto the next subsection of this part 2.